Welcome into the show. I'm Michael. I'm in the lab, in the captain's chair, and we are on live on our channel, and we're actually live streaming. So we are live streaming live, and you're getting something special. I just got off the radio show, and something powerful happened during the show, and this is a little bit different. Here on this show, a little bit laid back, a different means of how I'm going to present to you a kingdom understanding of where you are at and you're watching this. And I just got off the radio show, um, learning how to change your ordinary into the extraordinary. And this is part one. We're doing part two tomorrow. But I thought, it's been a while. You haven't seen me in a little bit. And you're getting this podcast at the end of June, 24 hours to go until we come out of the bridge month. And I've been talking about this on the show. This is the bridge month, which means, albeit the summertime, this sets us up in all actuality for the end of the year. What I mean by that, 12 months, 6 divided by 2, or 12 divided by 2 is 6. My math is kind of crazy at this time of night. But as I'm sitting here thinking about this, 6 months in 2022, and we were talking about goals on the radio show. And heavily in June being the bridge. And let me explain to you what I mean by the bridge. The bridge is this. The bridge is what gets you to the other side. And June is the bridge into the setup for how we prepare for the rest of 2022. And so it's obviously the summer months where you're listening to this from. And here in the States, we do vacations. We take some time off, whether it's spend with families to relax, do maybe side projects, or whatever it is that many people find themselves doing. And holidays are known overseas of vacationing, but it's the month of preparation where you may get completely into housework, yard work. You take a break, actually, those of you from ministry. I guess if we call it that, there are people that 10 services less in the summer because of activities outdoors. But this is the bridge month, and so what we've been doing is talking about dreams and goals, and vision. And how many of you have dreams and goals and visions for 2022? How many of you? And if you haven't placed your wrote down your dreams. I was going to say place. I literally just came off the show. And so what we do, we place our dreams into the heavens. And at nighttime, the stars, and they're the day stars, day sky, night sky. Nighttime, we have our stars. And we place our stars in the heaven. And the hope is that as we come together in the month of June, and simply it's the show to prepare you how to change from your ordinary into your extraordinary, from your natural into your supernatural. And I realized during the show that this is vital. And we're ordinary in nature, like in our quiet times, in our private settings. Whether you're a person of influence, content creator, a leader, a minister, an entrepreneur, you just have status in your culture or in your environment. But when you're home, you're ordinary, right? And so your family sees you as who you identify as your last name, or elder brother, younger brother. But the ordinary is what I'm talking about, is how you live in your house when you're not on camera, when you're not in a public space. See, that's the ordinary. And what I came to this understanding on the show. Like I said, all June, we have been putting forth helping people get to their dreams. And so at the end of the radio show, I'm gonna go a little bit all over the place just to come back. So I'm gonna take you all the way out to the middle of the ocean and then bring you back into the shore. Because I'm in the lab and this is what we do. We stir it up, we pour it in, we add what we need to add so that you can kind of see the big picture of everything. At the end of the show, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing that I did on the radio show. You're ordinary. Whatever you are doing that is ordinary. If you don't mature in that ordinary, you can't set yourself up for the extra in the ordinary, extraordinary, or being the super to the natural life that you live. Meaning, how you progress in maturing in a thing, in a season, in a moment, on your project, in your assignment, in your work, maturing in your skill set, in your abilities, and at the same time in your emotions. And when you complete the maturing in that moment, in that skill set, in your abilities, and you're doing something normal and it's becoming mundane, when you mature in that mundane, it sets you into placement of simply getting into something extra. It's like having a cake and then putting the chocolate icing, or for me, I love coconut icing on a cake. It's like pouring that on top of the cake. And like, how many of you like glazed donuts? And I don't eat them a lot, but when I get my donuts, I get that or a Cinnabon, right? And then I'll ask maybe for some extra icing to go on it. And I only eat one type of donut, it's glazed, and I only eat the Cinnabon if I can get extra. And like I said, it's maybe once a month that I splurge like that. Or like if you ever had a shake, you may get up at like 9 o'clock in the morning to be at work at 10. Some of you may get up at 6 o'clock to be at work at 7 o'clock. Some of you may work second shift, or some of you may even work third shift, or some of you commute in your travel, so you have to get up and put a window of time before you get to work. And you do it every day, and it becomes mundane, it becomes the ordinary, and the satisfaction begins to decrease because you're not meeting your own standards. You know, you may just be fulfilling a job so that you can get a paycheck at the end of the day, right? But what happens if you mature in that skill set? Well, what happens is it may become boring. There's an increase because your supervisors see that you're completing assignments and you're completing them ahead of schedule. And so things like that begin to open breaks for you or open doors for you. And it sets you up for doing something extra. The extra is, hey, how about we give you, come into the office, how about we do a bonus? See, that's the extra, that's the sweet spot. And why did you get the bonus? Because you got the bonus because you fulfilled maturation in the process of that skill set. And so you're recognized by your employer because you fulfilled an opportunity. And so they can no longer handle you in that opportunity. So they bring you in and they recognize you for fulfilling that opportunity. And so they open up a greater opportunity for you. And when I came across this on the radio show, and I'm like, I got to get on and do the show. I got to do a podcast because I know you probably don't listen to the radio show, which I hope you do listen to the radio show. But if you don't, you got the podcast, and the podcast is simply deeper stuff. And then I'm like, let's get more relaxed with this, because I'm always rigid and on point and hyper focused when I'm on the podcast or just teaching about the kingdom, because I want to bring you to a point in your life where you get to the apex of everything that you're doing, including your identity, including in your talents or in that gift or in that trust. And when you get to that point, there's breakthrough that opens you up to another realm, that opens you up to the bonus, the opportunities. And so here's that sweet spot. It's about maturing. Now, I want you, here's the rest of the homework assignment that I gave them. I want you to do this for me. I want you to message this episode, message me on the live stream, and bring to the table your normal. Now, you're bringing to the table your normal with the expectancy that I'm going to help you mature in this normal setting, whatever this assignment is. So you want to bring to the table the things that you're doing that's normal, normalized to you. And you want to grow out of that normal position. You just want to explode in you, that there's something greater for you, right? But maybe you're holding yourself back because you're not maturing. There's no satisfaction in the thing that you're doing. I want you to bring this to the table. I want you to email this episode, message this episode, or email nightmoodshdq@gmail.com, or on the live stream, DM me. And when you do, I want you to bring your normal to the table. And the challenge is for you maturing past the breakthrough into the opportunity that's waiting for you. Because see, I'm gonna bring this back to this thing. Jobs, your employers, even academia, when you are excelling, when you are maturing at a faster rate than normal, opportunity awaits you. When you are maturing at a faster capacity than everyone around you, opportunity always awaits you. So there's the challenge for you. And I'm excited because I live for these moments. I wouldn't have this podcast, I wouldn't have the radio show if I didn't mature in the moments, in my assignments, in my responsibilities, in my obligations. And so fulfilling maturation and learning, and this is the cool part. As you're maturing in the moment, I'm going to help you to learn how to be ever learning. And always learning to grow beyond your knowledge base. And that means you have to be open to information and more information. Information that's going to help to propel you forward. This makes sense? Different type of podcasts, I recognize that. But it's still in the confines of the kingdom, because I recognize off of the show that there are many brothers and sisters, I call them our night owls, and you're watching, you're one of the night owls, and you're listening, you're still one of the night owls on this side of the podcast. There's this dissatisfaction in me, and there's extenuating factors, attributing externals that condition the dissatisfaction in what many people are going through. And see, there's this explosion right now, and we've been 3 years. I call it the plague vacation. And my wife and I have taken advantage, and we've been traveling here in the States. But during this isolation time and restrictions for many of us, and if we just carry our ministry card, and when Father tells us go, we're going. And so we go. And our business, we give notice, heads up, we're still functioning. If you need this and that done as our clients, we're going to still perform a service. And we'll make the changes, and we'll make sure that we're using hand sanitizers, and if we're not sick, we're using wisdom. We're not coming into your homes and doing consultations when we're not feeling well. We're just using common sense, right? But we have taken advantage of this period, of this shaking. I call it a schizophrenic world, and I call it chaos in this world system, in the world, cultures, and in the behavior patterns that we are witnessing, many are a part of, but there's just this opportunity. And if you're not taking advantage of this opportunity, you're living in the mundane. And see, we were never meant to just live a mundane life. And I am not bringing you something that I've learned. I literally had this epiphany on the radio show. And this is the 6th month. And this 6th month, when we get through the bridge of June, and we're about 24 hours away before we head into July, this month sets you up for the second half of 2022. Just as much as the second half of 2022 and 2021 and years past. When we get into November and December, it's normally the holidays, and then you begin thinking about the next year and goals and dreams of the next year. But how many of you forgot about the goals and dreams of 2022? Maybe the restrictions have closed you off, and maybe you have come unsatisfied or dissatisfied because restrictions were placed on what you could do and what you could not do, and there were certain freedoms that were handcuffed, never taken away, but were handcuffed. And so maybe you were subjected to those certain freedoms being handcuffed, which could not get you to fulfilling that moment in that space with that assignment that you were given to do. But now here's the sweet spot, my friend, as you're listening. As I was saying on the radio show, repeating right here, bring your mundane to the table, and over the next 72 hours into July, I'm going to help you get to traction into the extra in your ordinary. We're all ordinary individuals. Even the 1% or even the 10%, those of the higher economic status that I am not. You know, I hold my doctorate in theology. I'm an entrepreneur, a life coach. I'm a husband, a dad. But yet I'm still ordinary, just like you, right? But what has enabled me to do the extraordinary work, or the extraordinary, which I'm going to give you the understanding of this in a second here, is me completing the process of growing in a given period of time. That process of growing was learning, and being ever learning is understanding, receiving information and applying myself to the information, and taking the information and helping others with the information that I got, and helping them get to the level of how they can apply to the level that they're at. And so the cool part is, and I do the show Monday through Fridays, and it's now the 9th month of the radio show. I've been ministering since 2007, founder of the church, and then the life coaching. I've been an entrepreneur since the mid 90s, a professional athlete. When I left high school and got to dabble in semi-pro baseball, an opportunity to play with the Montreal Expos when they were doing their thing in MLB, and an opportunity to sit on a bench for the Raiders, and all these opportunities. And I even got the opportunity to do 3 century rides as a cyclist. So I love athletics. I love the challenge. I love competitiveness. My nature is hugely competitive. I mean, I will be competitive in Uno with our 12-year-old. She knows. I'll give her 5 games, and after 5 games, I gotta shut it down. I love Monopoly. You know, I'll go to war. I'm a competitive person. And there, yeah, I get it. I've heard you need compassion. You need to just like let your child win a couple times. I give her a tutorial of how to be competitive, and I teach Kira and Jasmine, who's our 25-year-old. There's six children, 6 adults, 5 adults, 1 child. The adults are gone. So earlier today I was with Jasmine and just had father and dad and daughter time, right? And we got to talk about the ordinary and what it's going to take for you to get past the ordinary. And then I didn't come up with this. It came to me and I explained it to her this way. The extraordinary, you're going to like this. The extraordinary is like you have a 2-layered cake. And the first layer cake, you have the cake, whether it's a coconut cake, I love coconut cake, and then you have the coconut filling in the middle. And then you have the second layer, and then on top of that are maybe 2 more layers of coconut filling, or whatever the filling is. But it's that extra layer. And when you consume and you fulfill the mundane and you grow and you get through the eating of the cake, and you don't have to eat it in all one portion, but you learn how to eat the cake. And that cake that has the 2-layered cake and the extra, I'm talking like maybe 2 inches. Now, again, I'm going way out there. Obviously, I'm not going to have 2 inches of coconut ice cream. I got to keep this figure, you know what I'm saying? I got to keep the shape. I got to keep it right. I got to be healthy. But there's nothing wrong with splurging a little bit, but in moderation. But I was telling Jazz that this deal, the extra, when you mature in the process of a given assignment or responsibilities or obligations, the next step for you is not to repeat it, but the next step is the next realm of the spirit. The next step is the next opportunity, and that opportunity is the breakthrough. So it's coming through like an arrow. The arrow has a point, and notice that the point, I'm getting excited here, head scratcher. The arrow has a point and it cuts through aerodynamically the atmosphere, and it's always cutting through, but you never see the cut. But if you slow it down in the slowest camera, and you can do it like when you see a bullet, you see like the wind aerodynamically coming at the head of the bullet and around the bullet. And you notice this also when you're seeing rockets. When you come to the point that you have matured, you're cutting into the next opportunity. And you have to get this. When you mature in the ordinary, it sets you up for the extraordinary, the extra that's on top of what is ordinary, what is normal for you. That's the blessing. That's the sweet spot. And so the work, the problem is, here's the challenge. As you're writing down your mundane and you're writing down your ordinary, I want you to send this. Why? Because I'm going to help you mature in the process. Getting something to drink there so that you can break through. And see, that extraordinary, that's success. The ordinary is perception, is perceived, and it's different for everyone. And when you get this, when you fully get this, you can get traction into your ordinary. And it's like this too. Another analogy I want to throw at you. Here's another analogy. It's like having a mechanically sound vehicle and you're on the Autobahn. And if you've never driven on the Autobahn, I've never driven on the Autobahn, but I've seen video of what it's like to be on the Autobahn. And it's like coming on the expressway and you catch traction and you get in the flow of traction going at a high rate of speed. And as you practice driving at a high rate of speed, and I can only equate this when I was in law enforcement, because there were moments where I had to be at a high rate of speed, whether it was a police chase, whether it was going to an emergency. And so you practice how to focus on everything in front of you and your peripheral, and then you get to use your eyes to go left and right and focus on what is not directly a part of the mission, but you notice it. But the challenge is this: gaining the traction. How are you going to progress through it? That's always been the challenge. And so the motivational level, the mindset, and your emotions are involved in this. And then your skill set and your abilities. And if you're ordinary and you have low self-esteem, the one thing that we're going to do is eradicate the low self-esteem and replace the low self-esteem with esteem. And then when you complete esteem, then we'll replace that with greater esteem of yourself. And then when you complete that, it's greater esteem. It's really simplistic when you think about it. But I'm on a mission to help you. And if you so ever will, and if you're ready to come out of the ordinary and get into your extraordinary, then it's going to take you having some effort, being honest with yourself, and putting in the work. That effort is being honest with yourself. That effort is getting off the couch, getting off your phone, and carving out time where you get to experience what learning is for yourself all over again. Because many of you have not been learning. Many of you have been following. And when you're following, you don't have to learn because it becomes an automated step, a habit. And if you can just mimic what you're watching without using your abilities, then that is what you know to do, not because you learn how to do it, because you just repeated it. And so we're going to remove the repetition of the low self-esteem. We're going to remove the repetition of you not being challenged. And I'm going to challenge you. But see, it goes back to the bridge. See, this is your responsibility. And only if you want to be successful, to whatever the achievement of that success is for you, then send your ordinary. nightmoodshdq@gmail.com, or message in the show if you're able to message in the show, or send a comment. But best way to reach out to me would be nightmoodshdq@gmail.com, and let me know where you're listening from. Bring your ordinary to the table, and let's simply get you into maturing, fulfilling your place, your position in that moment. Because on the other side of that fulfillment is your next opportunity. And because you've turned around, you didn't realize that you were that close to your next opportunity. And every time you turn around, you get that much further from your opportunity. See, your opportunity is always present future. But if you're present past, you'll never step into your present future. That's for somebody who will get this. See, not everyone's ready for their next moment. Too many people like their ordinary. But see, this could be the game changer for you right now. In this 6 month, this could be the game changer. Whether you're listening to this moments from now, months from now, or years from now, this episode can be your game changer. For you to step into your extraordinary is for you to take responsibility in your ordinary. Send your mundane, ordinary life, send an email, the things that you're doing that's ordinary to you. And when you send it, I want you to put on the end of that, maybe on a column, one column, your ordinary, the second column, your dreams, your goals. And we're gonna put this to work. We're gonna put these two to work. And the third is you. We're gonna put you in the middle of the work to fulfill your maturation in the ordinary setting so that you can bust through, break through into your extraordinary. Now, I'm gonna need your commitment. I'm gonna need you to dial in. I'm gonna need you to go places in your soul, in your mind, and in your heart that you have said, I'm too old for this. But my question is, are you happy where you are right now? Are you happy where you are right now? And do you want better? Trust me on this. When you complete the process of maturing in a given assignment. Your job, your employer is going to bring you in and they're going to say, you know, Susan, you know, Tom, Stephen, Sherry, Quinn, we've been watching you. And the work that you've been producing has been extraordinary. You've met measures, you've met weekly goals, you've done this, and that, and the other. It's time for us to give you a bonus. And you're not going to sit there and say, no, I don't want the bonus. I like the normal. Not in this day and age. Now with the high gas prices, now with the high food prices, now with how much you're paying with your mortgage, with your rent, they're going to say thank you. Because see, that's the recognition. And when people recognize that you're maturing in the completing of the process of your obligations and your responsibilities and assignments, they recognize that and they want to honor that, and they honor that through giving you an opportunity. And see, that's all you need is an opportunity. Maybe the opportunity is going to help you to become an entrepreneur. Maybe the opportunity is going to help you to become an influencer, a leader, a supervisor, a boss, a manager. Maybe the opportunity is going to propel you to get that master's degree, that PhD. Maybe the opportunity opens the door for a grant, free money, because you completed a task, you fulfilled the requirements, you matured into it. But you didn't give up. You didn't get halfway and turn around because you broke the cycle. And you don't live a cycle life. You live a life that matures. And when we live a life that's maturation, it propels you into the next realm. It propels you into the next big opportunity. See, you may be ordinary, but right on the other side of that door, right on the other side of this moment that you're living and experiencing and engaging in, is your opportunity. And how many of you want the next best opportunity of your life? Maybe to take care of your family. Maybe to take care of your parents because your parents may be a little older in life. Or you have siblings in a hard time, or your neighbors in a hard time, and you want to just help them out. Or maybe you have responsibilities over a lot of individuals, a lot of children. And your next opportunity can be their next opportunity. See, one thing I didn't get to share with you, that when we get recognition and recognize and propel into the opportunity before us, then what we do is we help someone get to their opportunity. And see, that is called blessings. It's like the domino effect. And it's trading. I receive recognition, so I'm going to take my recognition and I'm going to trade it down because I see someone else who's trading into my recognition. And I'm trading into the next opportunity, so I'm going to take my opportunity, and when I see someone trading into that opportunity, I'm going to give that opportunity back. See, that's fulfillment of life. That's expansion. That's trading. And so the challenge is for you, my friend. It's kind of a cool challenge, if I say so myself. A little different podcast. Bring your ordinary to the table and allow me to help you get traction and step into your extraordinary. There's a challenge. Are you ready to get back in the playing field? Are you ready to get out of the stands, get out of the concession, and to handle your business? Whatever that is, your business. Possibly the opportunity leads to your destiny. That dream, that goal, but you never put your goals on paper. You never made a war room board or a Dreamcast board or a board of just write it down so that you can see it and work towards it. See, to put on muscle, you have to get to the weights. You have to exercise. You have to do cardio. You have to stretch. And see, that takes work. And maybe you don't want to put in the work. Maybe you want to put in the work, but you just don't know how to put in the work, or you don't think you can do that anymore. Well, I'm here to tell you that you definitely can step into your work. And if you step in your work with me, I'm going to help you mature in that work. See, you can do this as fast as you want to go or as slow as you want to do it. It's all relative, but it's been 3 hard, long years for you, maybe. Maybe you're sitting back and you're like even skeptical listening to this podcast. Well, you have what you have, and if you don't mature on what you have, you'll always have what you have. It'll be mundane. You'll still work your first shift, your second shift, or your third shift. You will still live paycheck to paycheck. You maybe will live paycheck to paycheck and have to borrow. And then you're putting a deeper level of stress upon your life. And that mundane becomes a burden. And you may give up. And you may not give up. But what if you say, doggone it, Michael, you're right. Enough is enough. I want the extraordinary. Well, if you want the extraordinary, this is the episode that's going to be your crossroads. You're making the right choice. Now, complete the task. Send in your ordinary. You have the information. Give it to you again. nightmoodshdq@gmail.com, and I'm going to help you get traction. And when you get traction, you're going to step into your opportunity. 2 columns. For whosoever will want to mature in their ordinary and position yourself for the next great opportunity for you. And I've told you. Recognition comes to those who complete the task, who mature, and who are ever learning. And you see it across the board. Now, I'm not talking going viral. I'm talking when you get recognition from corporations or people in your sphere of influence. Maybe perhaps this is how God works. That he sees you putting forth the work in his business. And whatever that is to you, whether it's a talent. And I've laid them out, but you know your talents. You know your giftings. You know what you're capable of doing. No more self-doubt. No more low self-esteem. We're going to take that tape out your brain and out of your state of mind and your mindset, your abilities, and your skill sets, and we're going to destroy that thing. Like whenever you wipe out your computer, we're going to destroy it. And we're going to put a fresh, new equipment up there that's full of courage, empowerment, strength, wisdom, pursuit, trust, believing in yourself, happiness, and everything else that you need to become to meet and complete maturation right now of what you're doing, right now. Because again, the next opportunity begins when you complete this process of maturing. Think about it. I'm going to leave you with that. And remember, you can play this again, take as many notes as you want to take, subscribe and share if you want to expand this and help someone in your field of influence, your sphere of influence, your family, your work friends, your just whomever. This is for anyone. I'm not playing around. And I don't want you to continue to play around either. Send your information, subscribe to the show, and I'll see you again on the next live, on the next web, and you'll hear me on the next podcast. Remember, the next installation of me in the lab comes up right now.